Imagine a world before memory, before names, before even the thought of history. The air is heavy with the scent of wet earth after ancient rains. Vast plains stretch endlessly, broken only by the shadows of mountains that have not yet been given names. The sky burns gold at dusk, and in the tall grass, something stirs, a small figure, fragile yet unyielding. This is not the world you know. It is a place where survival is a daily gamble. Nights are pierced by the calls of predators, and days are a trial against hunger and thirst. Yet in this uncertain landscape, one bond begins to rise above the chaos. One instinct more powerful than fear, stronger even than the will to survive, is the bond of a mother. The first mothers in human history did not write their stories. They left no words, no songs, no carved stones to tell us who they were. But in their arms, they carried the future of our species. Every cry they soothed, every risk they took, every step through danger was a choice that shaped who we are today. But how did they endure in a world so merciless, and what hidden strength carried them through the unknown? Step back in time, more than 3 million years ago. The world was both familiar and alien, balanced on the edge of change. The Earth's climate shifted between warm, wet seasons and sudden dry spells. Grasslands stretched wider than before, slowly replacing dense forests. Towering trees still clung to river valleys, while open plains gave rise to endless horizons where predators roamed freely. The air carried more oxygen than today, but life was not easier. Thunderstorms swept across the savannas, and the nights could turn cold and merciless. The soil held the footprints of creatures long vanished, saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, and herds of grazing antelope that thundered across the plains. In the distance, vultures circled, always waiting for the weak to fall. And among them walked our early ancestors, not yet fully human, but no longer ape. Their bodies were built for both climbing and walking, their hands skilled enough to grip, to hold, to protect. Fossils found in places like the Great Rift Valley of Africa tell us of these beings. Australopithecus, among the first to carry their young in their arms, not just on their backs. Survival here was not guaranteed. Food was scarce, predators were many, and the smallest injury could mean the end. And yet, within this dangerous world, something remarkable began to unfold. An instinct deeper than survival, a quiet force shaping the future. A force that would one day become the heart of humanity itself. A slow change begins, not with thunder, but with the quiet of water growing scarce. Seasons that once fed leafy valleys thin into long, brittle waits. Rivers that carve the land become threads. Fruiting trees shrink back toward the last hidden springs. The world, gently at first, grows meaner. Step by step the pressure mounts. Herds drift farther to find green. Predators follow. Where trees once hid small families, open grass now leaves them naked to the sky. Nights bring a new urgency, the distant, patient creak of paws on dry earth, the soft click of teeth through bone. Mothers listen. Mothers wait. They carry their young in arms that know both cradle and spear. They trade sleep for watchful eyes. When the rains fail, the hunt becomes a gamble. Go farther and risk falling behind, or stay close and risk starvation. Choices stack like stones. A child's cry can draw a lion. A single limp can end a whole lineage. Wounds fester where once they might have healed. Food is not only hunted. It is found in cracked roots and hidden tubers, in the guts of a carcass scavenged when bravery outstrips fear. Some hands begin to reach for sharp-edged pebbles to pry, to cut. Not yet tools as a smith would know them. Simple objects pressed into urgent service. And so the fragile choreography of survival shifts. Group murmurs become signals. Shared watches keep sleepers alive. The oldest keepers point to a dry root, a hidden run of water. Small inventions, a stone used as a chisel, a warning call, ripple outward. Still, for every quiet victory, there is a sudden setback. Floods can erase a season's gains. Disease can sweep a camp. Predators learn new tricks. Silence falls, A shadow passes. Yet the true test has not yet shown itself. Beneath the ordinary dangers, hunger, tooth, heat, something stranger waits on the horizon, a pressure not only on bodies, but on the way minds hold each other. What emerges next will not be visible in bones alone. Out of struggle came change. Where the forests had thinned, our ancestors did not retreat. They stepped into the open grass, cautious at first, then bolder. Their eyes scanned the horizon not only for danger, but for opportunity. A broken branch became a club. A sharp stone, once tossed aside, became a cutting edge. These were not inventions born of curiosity alone. They were born of hunger, fear, and a desperate will to keep a child alive. Mothers and fathers began to teach through gestures, through repetition. One hand showing another where to strike a stone. One finger pointing toward the faint track of an antelope herd. Slowly, a language of survival emerged, long before words. In shared glances and quiet calls, in the rhythm of footsteps moving as one. Fire had not yet been mastered, but sparks of another kind began to glow. Cooperation. Alone, they were fragile. Together, they were formidable. A lone mother could not stand against a leopard, but a circle of watchful eyes, voices raised, and stones flung from many hands that could turn the tide. Fear remained. Hunger persisted. Nights were still haunted by eyes in the dark. But something else now stirred beneath the surface. Memory. Each success, each narrow escape, carved itself into the minds of these first families. They remembered which roots hid water, which paths led to safety, which shadows spelled death, and they carried that memory forward, passing it from mother to child, from one generation's struggle into the hands of the next. It was not a perfect triumph. Many still fell, but enough endured. And with each adaptation, with each fragile victory against the wild, their world began to change shape. Yet beyond the plains and rivers they knew, the earth itself was shifting. Climate, land, and life were moving toward a threshold no one could yet see. And soon, the very way they lived and the very meaning of being human would be tested once more. And then the world tilted once more. The rains grew unpredictable. Seasons of plenty shrank into cruel cycles of famine. The very ground beneath their feet trembled with change. Rivers shifting course, grasslands rising where forests once ruled. Many families vanished, their lines broken, their traces lost to dust. Yet some endured. How? That remains one of history's deepest mysteries. Was it sharper tools? A keener memory of the land? Or was it something less visible? The ability to hold one another closer, to share not just food, but trust? Scientists can trace fossils, analyze bones, measure the wear of stone tools, but they cannot measure the fire in a mother's eyes when danger closed in. The truth may be stranger than fiction, for in this fragile era, something unseen was awakening. A shift not in muscle or bone, but in mind and heart. A tenderness that walked hand in hand with survival. A memory that lingered beyond a single lifetime. Perhaps it was here that the first spark of what we call human was born. Not in the forging of tools, nor in the triumph over predators, but in the silent promise of care. Still, the mystery deepens. Why did some lineages vanish forever, while others carried the story forward? What unseen choice determined which voices would echo into the future? The answer is buried not only in stone and soil, but in us. And as the winds of change swept the ancient plains, the stage was set for a transformation greater than any before. Something was coming, something that would reshape not only survival, but destiny itself. When we look back across those millions of years, the distance feels impossible. Their world of raw danger and endless struggle seems so far from our own. And yet, perhaps it is not. Every one of us carries the echo of those first mothers. In the curve of a hand that soothes a child. In the instinct to protect those we love, even when the cost is high. In the quiet strength to endure hardship, to rise after loss, to keep moving forward when the world feels merciless. These are not just modern virtues. They're ancient survival codes, written into us by lives lived long before memory. Their victories were not loud. They were not carved in stone or sung in stories. Their victories were measured in breaths saved, in small bodies carried, in futures preserved one fragile step at a time. And today, though our struggles look different, the thread remains. We still face uncertainty, change, and fear. But like them, we adapt. We endure. We hold each other close. Perhaps